Yeah, welcome back to the third hour of this week's Eddie Pillar Show, and I'm very, very pleased to say that I'm joined in the studio by, well, I don't really know how to introduce him, so I won't. I'll just say that his name is Gem Archer, and he's in a band called Oasis. Hello, Gem.
Hello, Eddie.
Thank you very much for coming into the show.
You're more than welcome.
I know you've been very, very busy lately, haven't you, out and about?
Yeah, a lot of ironing, you know.
Yeah, don't you get servants on the road and that, and they do all your ironing and laundry in your five-star hotels?
Yeah, but then it all gets mixed up, you know.
So you find
Socks,
yourself
pants.
waking up in Noel's pants and things like that?
It's mainly Chris, actually.
Oh, fair enough. So, well, we'll come to Chris Sharrock in a minute, actually, but first we're going to start with a little bit of music, then Gem's going to play some of his tunes that he likes, and we'll talk about them. So, without further ado, Lucy the Castle. That's Lucy the Castle from Twisted Wheel, and you've seen them a few times, haven't you, Gem?
Yeah, they've been supporting us just recently.
On the British tour?
Yeah, on this kind of arena thing we just done.
I think I've got really exciting kind of angry sounds.
Yeah, man, totally. And he walks it like he talks it.
Yeah.
Johnny, I mean, you know, he was giving it back to the crowd, put it that way.
Well, do you find that when bands support Oasis, they get a bit of stick because people are only really there to see the main attraction?
I tell you what, it's been different on this tour than any other one, really. I don't know, it's kind of it's a lot of younger front line for a start, a better class of shoe, you know, and it's just, I don't know, they are a bit more open on this one.
Yeah, do you think maybe that's because this band are kind of coming from the same place as Oasis were, or maybe...
Yeah, but I mean, there's been a few bands. We had a band called Alberta Cross, who were like sort of a 1972 Neil Young vibe, you know, and they had it as well, you know. It's not just all about... you know, chucking beer and just trying to get them off to see us. Yeah.
People do tend to throw... I noticed that the other day. There seems to be an awful lot of beer throwing going on at Oasis gigs. I mean, that must get on your nerves, must it? Especially as you've got such a nice sartorial line in clothes.
Well, yeah, man, and they've queued an hour for it, so I don't get it, you know.
Yeah, well. So, let's go back to, like, what really inspired you to pick up the guitar?
Without a shadow of a doubt, the Beatles. That's it, man.
Can you remember how and why?
I suppose it did start with, I don't know really, like, my cousins were really into them, and then I suppose the cartoons on a Sunday morning and all that, and it was just, I don't know really, something deep inside me that kind of just made me not question it, but that's where I was going. And the first record I got was a Beatles record. My uncle said he was going to buy me either Elvis or the Beatles, and my mum said don't buy Elvis because he's a troublemaker. So,
and the Beatles weren't, I suppose.
Yeah, well, there you go. You know, she believed the movies, I think.
Well, normally on this show, we like to play a Beatles cover. Like, I've done it every single week of the show, which is about 30 weeks now, where I've played a track performed by somebody else but written by the Beatles. This week, we're doing it the other way around. The first track you brought in is from that self-same first album you ever had. Yeah, man. I've never seen this before. It's called The Beatles Beat, and it's on Odeon Records, which is German, and it's from about 1964, I think, and it looks pretty rare to me.
Yeah, well, I don't know, it was one of those things you do as a kid. You don't know what you're doing, you know what I mean? You don't know what the real records are, and it just jumped out at me, but it does sound different. It sounds like the Pistols to me, especially this version. I don't know what they did to it. Yeah, well, it's all in the red.
I've just seen on the back of this...
yeah, go on, man.
I've just seen on the back of this record, Gem's the keys that each track is in. Oh, bless. Did you learn by playing along to this record?
Check the front cover. It's even got where I traced their faces.
Bless. Well, here we go. Gem Archer's first record on the Eddie Pillar Show this week. It's the Beatles doing Barrett Strong's Money. Wow, that's Money. I don't think I've ever heard that version before, Gem. You're right, it is different.
Told you.
I don't know how. I mean, how come a Beatles track's kind of I've missed it?
Well, I don't know. I think it was something to do with the way they made this false stereo stuff they used to do, you know. Yeah. They messed around.
It certainly brings out an element that I hadn't heard in that song before. Now, okay, so... your cousin's giving you some stuff, and you started to play along to the Beatles, and you formed a band. What was the first band you were in?
To The first band.
Whirlpool, was it?
No. Was it Whirlpool?
No.
The Edge.
Yeah, well, no.
No, there's a band. There was about 3 bands before The Edge.
Oh, right.
Yeah, man. I was an early starter.
Anyone I would have heard?
No. It was all exercise book stuff.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, but, okay, so then came Heavy Stereo. And the next track you've chosen for us on the Eddie Pillar Show features, well, tell me about it.
It's a band called the Jim Jones Review. It's the best thing I've heard for ages. And funnily enough, the drummer in them is the drummer from Heavy Stereo. So it's nice when, you know, you actually genuinely like something that your mate's done, you know.
What's his name? The drummer?
Nick Jones.
Nick Jones, and he's no relation to Jim Jones.
No.
Yeah, I played this last week, actually. I played a track 512, but you've chosen The Princess and the Frog. Do you like this kind of garage rock stuff?
Well, I love this because it's not too reverential to what, you know, that 50s piano rock and roll is. The first time I played it, Noel, he went, I mean, he loved it, but he went, is it supposed to sound like that?
Yeah.
You know, it does sound like there's a lot of, you know.
It's got very weird production, actually.
Yeah.
It's kind of all like one solid mass. There's no kind of ups and downs.
Yeah, it's a flat line, isn't it, man? But, you know, I think that's why it's valid, man.
Well, we're going to hear it now. The Jim Jones Review on the Eddie Pillar Show. A selection from my guest, Gem Archer. That came out last month, The Princess and the Frog, taken from the debut album, The Jim Jones Review. And highly recommended. It's kind of like garage rock and roll, isn't it?
Yeah, man. You know, it's the MC5, Little Richard, but instead of playing the piano, they kind of push it down the stairs, I suppose.
You can throw it out the window by the sound of it.
You know.
Now, we're just talking about, I'm going to play the Buzzcocks up next, and that's specifically because on Saturday, on Friday the 28th, I'm DJing at the Square in Harlow with Steve Diggle, the Buzzcocks guitarist and an old mate of mine. And I found it quite funny because Steve Diggle is coming to Harlow. And I was just saying, you know, no one comes to Harlow. And then he came out with a rather bizarre statement that that's where the Square in Harlow, which is where the gig is, that's where Heavy Stereo got signed to Creation.
Yeah, man. Alan McGee.
So Alan McGee's been to Harlow?
Yeah.
It's like a bizarre.
Well, yeah, a long time ago now, but I remember the gig, you know, and it worked.
It's a great little place, actually. I have to say, the local councils seem to have been trying to close it down for the last 5 years to build luxury flats, but now the housing market has collapsed. Hopefully they'll be foiled in their evil machinations, because the kids at Harlow don't have anywhere else to go. But okay, so Heavy Stereo. We're going back to the mid-90s. There was a time there, I think, when it really looked like they were going to break, didn't it?
Well, you know, we just couldn't get past number 44. We had 4 singles that went to number 44. Something like that, yeah, seriously.
Blimey,
you know,
I didn't know that.
Yeah, but, you know, everything happens for a reason.
And what was that reason?
I'm talking to you, Eddie, now.
Yeah, well, you know, I mean, I hope you don't mind if we talk a little bit about Oasis.
No,
because you started off as kind of almost a peripheral figure, I would say, when you first got involved with the band, which is obvious because, you know, they're quite an intense couple of people to work for, or work with, I would have thought. But gradually over time, it looks like you're kind of becoming a very serious part of the operation. You're writing more, for example.
Well, you know, I mean, it was a big deal nearly 10 years ago now. And, you know, you just feel your way along. And you can't rush things. You gotta just, you know, see how it... And, you know, everybody changes. Everybody grows. And everybody affects everybody else. Doesn't matter if you're in a band with them or not. You know what I mean? And it is a relationship anyway. And it's musical and, you know, and especially, you know, the thing me and Andy got was that the boys just... They always want to push forward. Even from that first tour. They were wanting to write songs, you know, and they were like, what have you got, you know? And we were like, you know, it's like Stand on the Shoulders tour, and you're playing stadiums, and it was kind of a bit 0 to 60 straight away, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
But they would not, it was all about moving forward.
Yeah.
You know.
And you have continued moving forward. I've got to say, the band are as tight and as good as any band I've ever seen in my life. That gig.
I think we're in the best shape we've ever been in.
I was amazed by the passion. And what's it like playing with Andy Bell? Because obviously he's got a good, like yourself, he's got an interesting history outside of Oasis.
Well, What do you mean, on stage, in the studio?
Yeah.
Or
What's it like working with him? I mean, you two have both been band leaders of your own, haven't you? And now you're both kind of sidemen, or not sidemen, but now you're part of a kind of a bigger thing.
Yeah, well, I mean, Andy he's, I don't know, probably the best sort of all-round musician in the band. And I always see him as, and it's a John Entwistle line, but he's a bass guitarist. He's not a bassist.
Yeah.
You know, and he's spider fingers, man. He's great. I'm sure he's got an extra knuckle, you know.
Well, look, now we're going to play, do you like the Buzzcocks?
Yeah, I love him.
Well, we're playing this because I'm DJing next Friday, the 28th, with Steve Diggle from the Buzzcocks down at the Square in Harlow. So if anyone has an opportunity to come, please join me. This is the Buzzcocks. That's Fast Cars from the Buzzcocks, and Gem used to cover a few Buzzcocks tracks, didn't you, in your first band?
Yeah, man. Well, they were great, you know, to learn stuff too. I mean, you know,
quite easy to play.
Yeah, I mean, I think that was all Pete Shelley's thing as well, wasn't it? You know, it was like tricky guitar solo and all that stuff.
Yeah.
But you know, I mean, what do I get? And harmony in my head, you know.
That's I played that actually on this
Diggle
show
vocal as well, isn't it? Yeah, man.
He's very proud of that.
Good.
I like. That's one of my favourite Buzzcocks tracks. Now, your next track here on the Eddie Pillar Show, Gem, is the Sex Pistols.
Yeah.
Why have you chosen them?
Why not? And I mean, you know, Steve Jones, the greatest rock and roll guitarist of his generation, and maybe more. You know, he's punk rock butter, isn't he, man?
Did he play all of the stuff on the album?
I think he did, without a shadow of a doubt. You know, without a shadow of a doubt.
I hope he did, certainly.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
it's like recently I've just found out, for example, a couple of, like, Pete Townsend didn't play the guitar solo on Can't Explain, and Ray Davies didn't play the guitar solo on You Really Got Me. So I'm kind of a bit, you know, disappointed, really, that big albums like that Sex Pistols album may well have had a certain...
No, I'm having it that it was Cook and Jones all the way. Right. Definitely, man.
Well,
you know.
What track have you chosen?
And this is the B-side of Holidays in the Sun, and it's Satellite, and yeah, man, nobody listens to B-sides anymore.
They should do. A Satellite from the Sex Pistols, and another selection from my guest on this week's Eddie Pillar Show, Gem Archer. Now, one thing I've always wanted to know, Gem, is where does Gem come from, and why is it pronounced with a hard G, not a soft G? Because one would assume it's Gem, but it isn't, is it?
No, it's a daft story, man, and it's just because coming from the north, being a kid of the 70s, you had to have a footballing daft nickname, Archer, Archie Gemmell.
Oh, right.
Not that I'm bald or Scottish. And
you're also
Gemmell,
taller than 5'4".
Gem, you know, and that was it, really. And it just stuck. And, you know, I think Scotland were having their day then and all that. And it was, you know, and there's another little bit of this story, actually. I got a tap on the shoulder at one of our gigs, and this guy goes, "Is it true where you got your name from?" And I went, "How do you know that?" And he went, "Well, that's my dad."
No way!
Yeah, man. Yeah, man. And it was Scott Gemmell.
Hey, look, does this kind of thing happen to you all the time now? Because the one thing you tend to read in the papers and stuff, in the, like, the daily, the red tops, if you like, that everyone seems to be a massive Oasis fan. You've got a lot of famous fans. I mean, does that ever freak you out? For example, the other day, James Bond, sitting next to your son at that gig. It was just extraordinary.
Well, yeah, I mean, I don't know, that is something I can relate to. But, you know, we've just come back from Italy, and they had, like, Del Piero on the phone, who's a big fan, and he brought all the Juventus to see us last time we played there, and obviously the boys know all that side of things, but I'm the least sporty geezer going, so, you know, I'll have James Bond any day of the week, you know.
So don't you do any sport at all?
No, maybe a bit of table tennis.
I like table tennis.
Yes, who doesn't?
I'll give you a game of that one day if we get a chance.
See, everybody says that when you mention table tennis.
No, seriously, I can play left or right-handed, Chinese style or Western.
There's a new serve emerged as well, hasn't there? Have you heard about that in the last 2 weeks? Somebody's got a new serve.
In the how do you serve? Come on, give me a demonstration. Oh no, there is no webcam here in the studio.
Yeah, what? Demonstrate your ping pong serve on the radio.
Yeah, sorry about that. So we're going to go back to the 60s, to Australia to be specific, and this is one of my choices actually. It's the Easy Beats. Have you come across the Easy Beats much?
Yeah, yes. Well, that little bit you played me there reminded me of something else there, but I can't get it yet. What it was? It was something Steve Jones played us when we did his radio show,
right?
And I think it was something like the Rubinoos or something like. It was one of those early '70s power pop bands, and it sounded very like that.
The Rubinoos. God, I haven't heard that name for a very long time.
There you go. Somebody like that, yeah.
I've got some of that at home. I'm going to try and dig it up. So without further ado, this is the Eddie Pillar Show here on Q Radio. I am joined in the studio by Archie Gamble Archer, and sorry about that. And we're going to play Sorry. What a powerful record that is, the sound of the Easy Beats with Sorry. Now, back to questions for Gem Archer. You've done a lot of work over the years with another old mate of mine, actually, Paul Weller, which is in fact where we met, didn't we? We met at Paul's 50th birthday party.
Yeah.
He doesn't like being reminded that he is, of course, 50 now, but can't be helped. So, what was that like? Because you even did a tour in the States with him, didn't you?
Yeah. Me and him, 2 stools, 2 acoustic guitars, and came on battered and bruised.
Yeah.
Yeah, man, you know, he brings stuff out of you that that's why I say he makes things happen musically that I didn't even know was in me.
Yeah.
You know.
Did you, for example, the BBC just had Later with Jules Holland special to celebrate Paul's 50th birthday, and you were playing guitar, weren't you?
Yeah.
How did you first come to work with him then?
Working with him,
well, okay, let's start.
I think he came to a Heavy Stereo gig a long time ago with Noel, and I remember somebody from Creation going, he'd rung up asking for the records, and Noel saying he never goes to gigs anyway, or he didn't, and it was just one of them things. I think, you kind of, I think he liked the look of a guitar player, or you know what I mean, and then you just get on talking, and then you kind of, I don't know, it just sort of ended up being mates, I suppose, or
Now, are you going to see him next week, or are you away back on?
We're away. We go away on Saturday. Back, and that's it, man. We're away till. Well, I don't come back till Boxing Day.
Oh, blimey!
Yeah, man, North America.
That's hard work. You've just been to the States, though, haven't you? Are these rescheduled dates because of Noel's injury?
Yeah, some of them are. Some of them aren't. I mean, we did. A little bit in North America, mainly Canada, and we were meant to do some stuff in New York and stuff. So some of it is rescheduled, and some of it is stuff we were doing anyway. How
is Noel now?
He's having physio at the minute in this break we're doing.
Because it was a lot worse than people thought at the time.
Yeah, I think it kind of got as he found out a little bit more and a little bit more and a little bit more. It was like, because with these kind of injuries, you can't really. I think you need a certain kind of scan to realise exactly what it was, and when he found out it was 3 ribs broken all the way through, and it was right in the middle of his back as well, and it was just, it's one of those injuries, man.
Was the guy arrested, or did you not hear what happened to him after that?
I mean, it's one of them things, Eddie, really. I don't know what we can and can't say. I mean, there's things happening,
Oh, good. All right, well, no worries. Well, it's good to hear that he's getting better. Now back to Weller. You played on. What do you think of 22 Dreams?
Man, well, it's amazing, really. And when he said he was going to do a double album, and everybody thought he was mad, and it's just one of those Wellerisms that when he does it and it works, everybody be doing it, man.
Yeah,
and it's like the best mixtape that you can just stick on, and when your mates around and you're off your head or whatever and all that, it just works.
I think it's the best thing he's done for probably since the first solo album. I think.
Well, I love it, man. I mean, I love everything that he does for different reasons.
Yeah.
I mean, I love Illumination. I love Heavy Soul for the sound of that. Obviously the first album was kind of like a sigh of relief for all us Wellerheads, Yeah.
Did you not like the Style Council period?
No,
then?
he lost me on that. To tell you the truth, I bought the first single and I found the rest a little bit hard to kind of get my head round. But having said that, when I did the acoustic tour and there was some Style Council songs in there, and you sat playing them on a guitar, you realise how amazing they
How
are.
good the songs are. 'Cause
Yeah, you know, so
they were recorded in a different way back then, weren't they? He was into that kind of electronic drum sound and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But underneath the songs like Head Start for Happiness is just one of the finest songs.
Yeah.
But anyway, what did you play on the new album, on the 22
On
Dreams
the new album is a bit of guitar and a bit of mellotron.
What did you play the mellotron on?
Yeah, it's on Echoes Around the Sun. Yeah.
This is Eddie Pillar on Q Radio, and I'm sitting in the studio talking to Gem Archer about Life, Oasis, the Paul Weller Band, and various other issues. And talking about the Paul Weller Band, the thing that we're going to play next is Paul Weller's keyboard player, Andy Cross. So I'm sure, did you meet him when you were recording with Paul, or has that come about?
I've met him, a few times, but I met him when they were finally rehearsing for the tour.
Well, he's just released a single. I've played it a couple of times on the show, and I have to say I've had quite a lot of emails and MySpace messages from people asking, can they get this record? Because it is brilliant. And Andy told me that he played every instrument on the single, and he's recording his album at Paul's studio down at Black Barn in a couple of weeks' time. So when they've finished their UK tour, he then goes into Paul's studio to do his album, and we're going to play that next. But so you're on tour till August. How far ahead does Oasis's schedule kind of take up?
We're actually on tour till next November, man.
But blimey.
You know, so... But that's what we do, and then we'll kind of get away from it, you know.
Do you have any favourite places to play? Favourite venues or favourite countries or anything like that?
It's always good in Italy, and it's always good to go to new places. And I think this time we're going to be going to Moscow, and I went there with Noel when we did the acoustic thing, so I can't wait to go there with Liam. You know, it was the full kind of full Monty. But I mean, England's always great. You know, it's all great, really. You know, it just depends what the mood is.
So what about holidays? What about when you're not working? Where's your favourite place outside?
Well, we always go to Ibiza.
Yeah,
man, that's it, you know. And that's just to do nothing.
Yeah.
You know, 2 pairs of shorts, 4 flip-flops and a guitar, and that'll do me, man.
Yeah.
You know.
Terrific. Okay, well look, now we're going to play The Moons. If you do like this, anybody, you can buy it from their MySpace page, which is Moons UK. It's called Torn Between Two. That's The Moons' new single, Torn Between Two. What do you think of that then, Gem?
Fantastic, man. Yeah.
I like it.
And he produced it, didn't he? I think
yeah, I think he played everything, produced it, did everything, and he's a really nice guy, Andy Crofts, as well. So I would advise all our listeners to look out for that. It's called The Moons. The A-side is Don't Go Changing. The double A-side is Torn Between Two, which was the one I just played. So I'm sitting here with Gem Archer from Oasis, and we're just talking about another colleague that he played on the Paul Weller album with alongside, and that's Steve Craddock.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, you must have known Steve for a while as well.
Yeah, ages. Yeah.
I've got photos of Steve when he first started out. He's sitting on a scooter. I mean, he really does live that mod life, Steve Craddock, 24/7. I'm telling you now.
Good lad.
And I've been waiting for his solo album for ages, because he's been talking about it to me for the last couple of years, but I haven't heard anything yet. And you've brought it in, haven't you?
Yeah. So, man, I love it, you know. And I heard the Roughs when we were doing Echoes Around the Sun, and you know, and it's right up my street, you know. And the thing that surprised me is it's not a lead guitar wig out at all.
Yeah,
there's hardly any. If I don't know if there's any solos on it, you know.
I think he probably doesn't get enough credit for being a good guitarist, I think, because I think he's got a few different styles that he plays, but I really like his guitar playing on Stevie Craddock.
Yeah, oh man, he's a great guitarist, but he's one of those all-rounders, man. You know, his keyboards, his slide, everything really. I mean, he's drumming. He drums on Echoes Around the Sun, you know, and he can do all this standing on his head, upside down, you know.
He played on that Andy Lewis hit that we had with Paul Weller last year, that Northern Soul thing. Steve played the drums on it as well.
Okay.
So this is from Steve Craddock's album. Now, I read somewhere that it's called the Tundali Target. I don't know what that means or what it is, but that's what Steve's called it, I think. Tundali Target. And the track that Gem's brought in for us is called Running Away. So you heard it here. I can assure you that Q Radio have a worldwide exclusive with this track, because no one in the world has heard it on the radio yet. This is Eddie Pillar on Q, and that was a track from the Trundali Target, which is the title of the new Steve Craddock solo album. It's called Running Away, and it was brought in by my guest this evening, Gem Archer. Welcome back, Gem.
Hello.
Now, we're nearly through, aren't we? But you've also brought in something quite special for us today. We're going to finish with a bit of Oasis. Now, I played the singles version. I played the single version of your new single, which is called I'm Out of Time. Played it about 2 weeks ago. And I think it's got potential to be another one of these big anthems. When's it out? Do you know?
Haven't a clue, man. You're asking the wrong person here.
You don't like it.
Yeah, no, you know.
Well, this is a remix. Tell me about this.
So this is a remix by a guy called Twiggy. I think he's called Twiggy Ramirez or so odd. And he's also called Geordie White as well. And we know him from Dave Sardi, who produces our stuff, and he's just one of these LA dudes who's actually alright. And he plays in Marilyn Manson's band. Don't hold that against him.
No.
And he's remixed this tune because he loves our band, and he's a top geezer. Now,
Oasis, you don't really. I mean, there was some great remixes by Brendan Lynch back in the day of Oasis, like Champagne Supernova. There's a great version of that, I think, and a couple of other things. But you don't really associate Oasis with remixes, do you?
Well, no, of course you don't. But the way this kind of all went was we recorded in Abbey Road, and we just went for it, and then we had Christmas off. And when we when we were mixing in LA, and you start putting up the faders, and we were like, man, I can't even remember doing that. Or, you know, this was all. We felt like you could remix every tune.
Yeah.
There was loads. It wasn't just, you know, 2 guitars, bass, drums. And so that's kind of where the idea started growing.
That sounds me. Have you seen that? That reminds me of that George Martin documentary on the beat at the making of Sgt. Pepper's or something like that.
Yeah.
Where he's got the 8-track in front of him, and he pulls the drums up, and there's the fattest fatback drums. You think, wow, what's that? And it was something like Magical Mystery to a really non-funky track, but underneath everything, you can draw so many different things out.
Of course, man. You know, and. You know, anybody who knows nowadays, we all know how music's made, and it's kind of just how you put all them elements together, really, and then what you want to add on top, and you know, so, and that's the beauty of it for me as well, really.
Well, Gem, we've run out of time, but thank you ever so much for coming in today.
Pleasure, man.
I know you're off at the weekend, back on the road over to America this time. I hope you have a really nice time, and say hello to Chris Sharrett. Of course, we didn't get a chance to talk about Oasis's new drummer, who is, I'm a big fan of his, actually, for a variety of reasons.
Too.
And I think he's certainly made a difference to the Oasis sound.
Yeah, man, he's a top guy, wonder boy.
I love the way he plays. He does that Keith Moon thing where he hits his sticks up in the air and then gets another one out.
Yeah,
just
fabulous. I mean, you know, me and Noel have a little pact. We're going to try and catch one of these sticks before the end of the tour.
Yeah, before it takes someone's eye out.
Yeah.
Okay, well, thank you very much, Gem Archer. This is Eddie Pillar. I'm back next week for the Eddie Pillar Show, but you can also hear this again on Sunday afternoon at 5 o'clock. So we're going to finish with I'm Out of Time, the Twiggy remix. No, not the Marks and Spencer's lady. This is somebody else.
Here's the sound. It reminds me of when we were young, looking back at all the things we've done. You gotta keep on keeping on. Out to sea, it's the only place I honestly can get myself some peace of mind. You know it's getting hard to fly.